This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Turned black, the wind howled loud. Helene rushed in, fury on the ground. Meaner than her cousins, she carved her path, leaving nothing behind in her angry wrath. Homesteads drowned, bridges torn, cars washed away, families mourn. She swallowed them whole like they never was, but in the end, she didn't break us. Rising waters taking all inside. But Appalachian hearts, they're born to fight. Lean the storm taking us down, but never underestimate these mountain towns. Neighbor to neighbor, we survive through flood and storm. We will rise. Roads disappeared under her might, swept away everything in her line of sight. With little warning, nowhere to flee. Loved ones missing, health they still need. With calloused hands and hearts of gold, even with little, no help they hold. Reunion may seem far from here, but the spirit of America is clear. Rising waters take it all inside. But Appalachian hearts, they're born to fight.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on Judith Mancini today. That is a new piece of music that Patriot Nation Music is producing. They are so prolific and so patriotic. I'm featuring them again in the studio. So a big shout out to these people. We have Jeff Bonilla, Charles Moss, and Georgie Donovan. And I see that I thought Charles was in the room with you somewhere. Here you are. Yay, Charles. Good to see you. We like to see your beautiful, handsome face. So stay on there so we can do it. Okay, everybody. Hello. Guess what? That song, I don't know, is that the one we were talking about, Georgie? Because I haven't been able to catch up with everything.
Yes,
so
Helene's Heroes.
You wrote the lyrics to that.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it. We are all in today to talk about politics and everything that's hitting the United States and causing a lot of grief and stress. And we want to cover a whole lot. So let's hit it, Georgie. Tell us about that song.
Well, I'm sure everyone knows by now, what happened in North Carolina and Tennessee with the terrible flooding that happened with the dam breaking, which actually happened before Hurricane Helene hit the East Coast. And, the government was totally, like FEMA and the government was totally MIA. And it was just, the neighbors, the other states that came to the aid, and even people who had lost everything that came to the aid of those who are missing. There's thousands of people that are dead and thousands of people that are still missing. And
if I can insert this right here, one of the reasons we're talking about this and they're singing about it is because we're not getting the exact facts out of this horrible disaster. And what Georgie is saying, after I have researched it quite a bit, is absolutely true. And we want to know why the administration is ignoring it. So go ahead, Georgie.
And so what really, for me, I'm always want to find the good in people, and I want to reach out to other people who want to help. Is like people even like on the West Coast, we're on the West Coast, and we always like want to help, and we want to reach out to those who want to help. I just love hearing all of these stories and seeing all these stories on people who, on Twitter who want to help, because I'm on X. I love X. Obviously, like Elon has done such a great job of like letting free speech roam on X. But that's, for me, that's my new Google, is X. Like, Google, you cannot trust Google at all. But if you want to find the truth, if you want to find the truth, if you want to find any information, go to X. And so that's where I'm seeing all of these stories of what's happening on the ground, and seeing all of the volunteers going in, and even, about hearing about, donations getting turned away, and people going to help getting turned away. But then those that are getting through on horseback, those that are getting through on their mules, taking packs of like 20 mules up.
Amazing.
Right. Yeah, and then really those that are going through on ATVs, those that are using their private helicopters to fly in, and then even getting stopped, telling them that they can't go in with their helicopters. But just seeing all these incredible stories, I was like, I have to write a song about it, just to just to say that this is to support those that have survived, and to just say, keep going, have hope, have faith, just to be encouraged, because then I'm also hearing stories of people committing suicide. So I'm like, you just got to stay, just have some courage. There's people who want to volunteer, and just encourage more people. Just just say, screw the government. If they tell you to not go in, say, screw you, we're going in. And the more people that have just got to band together and go in, what is the government going to do? There's maybe a few of them, and there's like 1,000 of us. So that's what the song was for, just to say, come on, let's go, we can do it. So,
I think it helps uplift people's spirits also, because they know that we're out there trying to help with them. Right. I just want to insert one thing before we move on with a few other things. Donating money. I don't think you should donate any money to the Red Cross.
Correct. Right.
And after me investigating, and many people who are more important and more educated than me are all of the same opinion, that money goes to the administration of the Red Cross. It hardly ever gets to the victims with more than a few cents on the dollar. So please consider other things like Samaritan's Purse, personal GoFundMe pages, and things like that. And that will help these people a lot more than donating to the Red Cross. We want people boots on the ground to help these people. Right. Okay, so we have so much to talk about. Absolutely.
Once our song, we are releasing the song to iTunes. And if by some miracle the song takes off and we make money, then our goal is to actually donate most of the money to all of these different volunteer organizations who are helping on the ground in different churches, and like Samaritan's Purse and whatever. And I am putting together a list of the different organizations. So if by some miracle, I mean, right now we've only made like $26 with our music. But so that's not really.
You gotta start slow, and it just keeps growing. And that's one of the reasons we're here, because I think we need more of this patriotic music, and more music that lifts people's spirits, but is not just hip hoppy. And although I like some hip hop, I like all kinds of music. So I'm a little weird, because I'll sit down and listen to a symphony or an opera. But then I'll turn around and I'll listen to you, and I might listen to hip hop, and I might listen to country, because I love all of it. So what we're trying to do is give you guys a push, because you're doing such a great thing for everybody and letting everybody know what's going on and how you're doing this. Just give me, Jeff, a brief kind of tree of how Patriot Music works, Patriot Nation works. Are you the head of it? Is Charles the head of it? What is all of your separate things? Do you do a Zoom meeting or something to get together? Tell us how you work, because it's all new. You don't need to go into a studio to record anymore.
Correct. So it kind of just happened organically, where I originally wrote The Promise of Freedom in June, just as a, I was just fed up with everything going on, and then, the Trump trial and everything. So I wrote that, and I had heard about this this AI music platform called Suno that some people were using, and so I thought I'd check it out, and I did, and it did a pretty good job on putting music and vocals to the lyrics. So then I shared it with, my two friends, Charles and Georgie, and they got a kick and kind of got excited about it as well. And Charles started writing some lyrics, historical based lyrics, and that's kind of how it all took off. So really, I've been a songwriter, oh man, over 35 years. So as far as and Georgie writes songs as well. And Charles has always been into music and is a good writer. He's working on a couple other projects with me. So just kind of organic.
Can we say what those projects are, or are they undercover for a while?
Charles and I are writing a book, a fiction book, but it's actually based in reality. So a lot of the stuff you see going on in the world right now, we're injecting into the premise of the book.
And when do you guys think you'll be releasing that?
Probably by Christmas. It's in the editing stages right now. It's
great.
Yeah.
By the way, you can find Jeff's book and Charles' collaborations with him, or vice versa, on Amazon. So all of their music and books, anything they do, is readily available for you out there in the audience to pick up on them, and they're really great. And thanks to Melinda Manos, Public Relations, for introducing me to them, because I just think they're absolutely three really super people. Okay, yeah. What do you have to say for yourself, Charles?
I don't know if you could hear me. I'm looking at my screen. I think I'm not buffering, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. What was the question? I had a late night. I went to a concert last night.
Just what are you up to, Charles?
You look like the shadow government right now.
Yeah, you look like a ghost. You kind of look like a ghost on your screen.
Really nothing much. I'm trying to come up with song concepts, and like Jeff stated, we've been writing a book together, which was a fun journey. A little frustrating at times, because there's some rules in writing that we both weren't really aware of. So that's where the editors really come into play, and hopefully it'll produce a final product that we both could be really proud of.
So does that mean that the editors will tell you if you need to give credit to somebody for a quote that you're doing or something, or punctuation, or what are you thinking about?
Yeah, there's multi-levels of editing, and you have line editing. I forget the different types of words. But for punctuation, spelling, continuity, does the story make sense? Do you have plot holes? Things of that nature. And we've covered a lot of those bases, and we've gone through several editing process, and now we're kind of in the final stages. So hopefully we'll, like Jeff said, hopefully the final product will be produced and released very shortly.
And now, is this based on reality?
Yeah, yes. Reality based in
it's a fictional
kind of a thriller mystery genre setting.
It's a fictional story, but based with elements that you would see in the news that are considered conspiracy theories, such as the pharmaceutical companies trying to take out all the holistic doctors so they can, keep the profits.
I think that's a true story.
Well,
I
that's
mean, my profession was in the holistic natural care industry. That's what my magazine with over 1.7 million circulation had. And I sold it. But that's what it was in. And they do come after you.
Yeah, then I know because I was somebody who was in the industry told me about that. And she literally, because I offered to build her a website and she said, no, I don't want anybody to know I'm out here doing this. Because there's a lot of, as you know, a lot of alternative care can cure cancers and things like that. And so that was where the premise came about what if there was a hit squad within the pharmaceutical industry and he decided to start taking out holistic doctors that were on the verge of, delivering their cures to the public. And so one of our characters catches on that that's what's going on, and it leads him all the way to Washington, D.C. And,
oh my God, I can't wait to get this book.
Yeah, it's going to be called Terminal Hitman: State of Deception.
Great.
Yeah,
well, I love Terminal Hitman. That was a lot of fun and good. I liked it. But
we definitely have some interesting characters in the story.
Well, sometime you're going to have to put me in because you probably don't remember. I may have told you and I may haven't. But I was a reserve deputy sheriff in Orange County, California.
Wow.
I was in my 20s because my daughter was a baby. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't have to tell that to people, but now I want to be a character in one of your books.
All right, got it.
That's so cool.
Really, really quickly, what's interesting is, so as we've been kind of going through the process of sending out to development editors and things like that, we started working on the third book. And we were kind of thinking of calling it like, I don't know, City on Fire or something like that. And we came up with the idea of Venezuelans immigrants taking over the city. And this is back like in March before any of this stuff had actually happened.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the next book that we're working on. And now I kind of said, wow, it's going to look like we ripped off reality when in fact we actually were planning on it before, all this got crazy. So yeah, kind of, I guess you could say we're writing books that are, I don't know what that genre is, but it's fictional, but based in reality. I you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's it. Fictional based on reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, some of it, what you write about is amusing. Some of it is frightening. You've got a lot of things going on there, and sitting on the edge of your chair, not wanting to put it down. It's a page turner. You got it all. You just need more publicity.
Thank you. I appreciate you read the first one. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. And that shows I'm kind of weird too, because it's a real different book.
We're all weird.
The one thing I found writing this with Jeff is it kind of ferreted out that we're both a little twisted with our sense of humor.
Well, I must be too then.
Because we do have some funny stuff in this new book.
Yeah, I bet. I can't wait to read it. I have another friend who was writing books on kind of sci-fi books and things like that. And I had great times interviewing her. I've known her for 30 years. Just really fun. I enjoy interviewing authors, creative people who really are talking about reality as well as fiction and where it's going. Some of her stuff is coming true because of AI. It's just amazing. Well, anyway, let's move on because I promised everybody we would be talking about the election today. And when I was watching the news today, we discovered that Trump is 2 points ahead of Kamala, 47 to 45. And that was, I can't remember what poll that was on. Oh, it was the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. But these polls, you have to be very careful what you believe and what you don't believe, because they go up and down all the time. And some states have the early voting, like we do here in California now. I hope you guys are voting. I hope you're voting for.
Of course. It's a no-brainer.
So what I want everybody to be careful about are reacting to the polls, because some people change their minds before they go vote, and you're not getting real accurate counts. Although I do tend to believe some of the bigger polls, some of these small polls that only interview less than 1,000 people, you can't depend on those. You know, it would be nice if it was a cross section of people, but they really aren't. They're concentrating on one thing, and that's trying to get somebody elected. So that happens on both sides of the aisles. But what I want to talk about is what has gone on with the Democrat administration and what hasn't gone on with them, and the lies that are being said about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't really heard any bold, outright lies against the Trump administration or the Trump campaign or anything. I mean, he does tend to get a little graphic and call people stupid and ignorant and things like that. And now he's talking about one of the golfers and his physical being. You know, sometimes he can't help it. He likes to talk. He's an entertainer as well as one of the most brilliant businessmen that's been around. And that's why people like him. I have been following him since before he did The Apprentice. I've read his books. The Art of the Deal really helped me when I had my publishing company. It was an amazing thing. And he has a lot of experience. And when he talks, I'm sure, now I'm speaking to our audience, I'm sure you all have seen him on these different rallies and all, or on a one-on-one interview. The man never uses notes, never uses a teleprompter except to maybe a list of people attending a rally so he doesn't miss somebody, but he never uses it to speak, and he never has notes with him. And unlike his opponent, Kamala Harris, who has been caught wearing earpieces disguised as earrings, and this is no joke, this is true. This is true with Biden in his debate, that he had an earpiece hidden in his ear. And it goes back to the other one when Donna Brazile was giving questions to Biden before the debate. So the Democrats are running kind of a shady and shaky campaign. And as it gets closer to less than 2 weeks, they're coming out with outrageous lies, and they can all be checked. Like the one that just recently came out about the female soldier who was killed. And one of the co-hosts on Fox News and other people who work as correspondents that were also in the room, the Democrats tried to say that Trump did not want to pay for the funeral. He just said horrible things about the soldier and all that. And none of that was true. Her sister came out yesterday and said, none of this is true. What do you guys think about weighing one party against the other party? And I don't really know what all of you are voting for, except Georgie here, but she's got her sign up there. I don't know what Jeff and Charles are, whom they are voting for. It's none of my business. I'd love to know. But this is a free country still. for a little while, and you can vote for whomever you want, and it can remain a secret. So what do any of you want to say about this, about these lies that are coming out about Trump, and all of them have been proven wrong? And Jeff has his hand up, so he wants to talk about it.
I want to say it because I'll forget it, and I'll let the George and Charles talk. So the latest that I saw is I guess Kamala was making a speech yesterday, once again, called Trump Hitler and said that he's going to use the military against the people, which is a complete lie.
Absolutely.
However, what a lot of people don't know is that the Biden-Harris administration just signed a proclamation for the first time in U.S. history, authorizing the military to shoot on American civilians on American soil.
Oh my God, I didn't see that.
Yep, it just came out. They signed that. So they're basically projecting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, when they ask Biden about a peaceful transition, he says there will not be a peaceful transition if Trump wins or if Trump loses. So I think they're planning to try to get us into a civil war, and they're going to have all their operatives and the Venezuelans and everybody else starting chaos. But now they've given authorization to our own military to fire upon us. So who's the dictator here, and who's really, Hitler here? It's not Trump.
No,
Now
it's not.
they're trying to say he said that because there's a clip of him saying, where he's talking about internal enemies, and he talks about,
The generals.
We may have to call in the National Guard or even the military, but he wasn't saying, turning the military on civilians. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was taken out of context when he was talking.
It's always taken out of context with him.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
he was saying their presence would help calm the crowds.
Exactly. But this proclamation, or I don't know if it's a bill or what it is that he signed, but he signed it. This has been verified. You could go online and find it. That's really worrisome that these people are thinking that. Like, we're going, going all the way back to when Biden said, if you're going to come for us, we got F-16s, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these guys are lunatics. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. They are a rogue regime, and I don't understand how people can't see that. Anyways, that's my spiel.
Well, to add to that, they're trying to say that Trump said that his generals should be true to him and should support him. And people are saying that goes against the Constitution. That shows he wants to be a dictator and all. But what it doesn't say is he is the commander in chief. He didn't say that. He just said he hopes his generals would be loyal to him, because in the last administration of Trump's and in this, there are several generals that are not on Trump's side. Well, that's their prerogative, but it's not their prerogative to turn against the citizens of the United States. And they are supposed to be true and trust the commander in chief and the Constitution. Sometimes when Trump is excited and he's talking and he's going on and explaining one thing and then going to jump to another, he leaves words out. And when he was talking about this, he left out that he wants them to be faithful and true to the Constitution. Well, that goes without saying, because Trump has always said that he follows the Constitution. So this is how they're turning things around. What say you, Charles?
Well, like Jeff said, what they're attempting to do is really unprecedented, and it is a violation of the Constitution, utilizing military troops against their own people. It was actually there was an act called the Posse Comitatus Act that was signed late 1800s, late 1870s, that expressly prohibits any branch of government to use the government or military personnel for the purposes of law enforcement or to how do I want to put it? Enforce congressional acts. It was expressly used to prevent military from enforcing Jim Crow laws, but it has extended.
Is that with an F-O-S-E-Y?
Say that again?
The Fossey Act, how do you spell that?
No, Posse Comitatus.
So how do you spell that?
So Posse, P-O-S-S-E, and then Comitatus is C-O-M-I-T-A-T-U-S. And I believe it was signed it was after the Civil War.
Okay.
Maybe a decade after the Civil War. But that's really where the roots of the prohibition of using military troops against the U.S. citizens for the purposes of.
Why do you think Biden goes and signs another bill or proclamation or whatever doing this against?
I do think that the Democratic Party has absolutely no regard for the Constitution. They keep throwing out the terms, the insurrection and, fascism on the right. But in reality, the ruling class on the left, and there are some on the right too, the Constitution is just kind of a punchline to them. It's like, well, it's out there, it's antiquated. It was written at a time when the country wasn't so big, and now we have all these complex issues. And it's just manipulated, and it's manipulated for money. It's whoever has the deepest pocketbooks, kind of gets their way, unfortunately.
That's right.
But we're entering a whole new era of really some darkness, and it's quite scary. We're more divided, I believe, today than we ever were.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
The difference is you don't have two armies lining up on some field in Pennsylvania,
right?
Volleying musket balls at one another. It's
right.
A whole new warfare.
Georgie, this morning I was listening to the news, and North Korea has sent troops to Russia. They've been sending them weapons, and there's been some complaints that the weapons aren't up to the grade they should be, but now they've actually sent troops to Russia, reportedly because these troops from North Korea, which everybody knows is a communist state and very war-mongering people. What do you think we should think about this? Do you think that these troops will actually fight against Ukraine? It sort of shows to me that perhaps Russia, Putin, is running out of money to produce the weapons and the bombs and things that he needs for the Ukraine to win that war. And it also shows me that North Korea is afraid that they don't have enough compadres to support them in taking over someplace like Taiwan. Have you heard this on the news yet today? So early, you probably haven't had a chance to listen. No, that was a name, and it was verified today.
I haven't been staying up to date too much on, so I can't really speak on that topic, unfortunately. I'm the wrong person to ask.
I'll give you another topic then. There are, the Electoral College will determine the outcome of the election, and you need 270 electoral votes to declare that you've won. Mm-hmm. So we're all a little nervous because there's 7 states that are considered the swing states, and we went over that in the last show last week. One of the most important, if not totally the most important, is Pennsylvania, because it's so close to the different people that are running for office in their state government and in the national election. So what can we do to make Pennsylvania more red when we don't live there? What can we go out and talk to people? Write things on social media like X and Facebook and different things like that. Truth Social. I mean, I'm getting very worried about this. Yes, you're exactly right, Jeff. I think one of the greatest things are the people that are coming over to Trump. And of course, Elon, and he just did that. And then you have, oh, what's the matter with me? Tulsi Gabbard totally went out of my head. They're coming over to the Republican Party. What can we do to get some of these everyday voters, the everyday American citizen, to switch their votes from Kamala over to them? You speak well, Georgie. I want you to think of something that you can put on social media. I mean, I know you can because you write these songs and these lyrics.
I know. I mean, I'm thinking, I'm not sure because like the Harris administration is just, it's like I said, they have a distraction campaign and they're just constantly just saying the same lies and manipulation every single day. So it's pretty hard to kind of change those people who are brainwashed into this Trump during syndrome. So it's really hard to snap those people out of it when they're hearing the same thing over and over and over again,
So how about this? I am all in favor of having a woman as president, not this cycle. Because to me, Kamala is an embarrassment to women. She is not educated in all of the policies. They ask her about some policy and she can't speak to it. But she was raised in a middle-class family. I mean, give me a break. Most of the United States was. So what is she talking about? Because she really actually wasn't. Her family was quite well to do, and she was raised in Canada in a very large house.
If I could interject, sadly, I think the Democrats had potentially the right woman in Tulsi Gabbard. Now, there were some positions of hers I don't agree with, but she's very articulate. She understands the world stage. Her resume is very impeccable from what I could see, and they lost her. So I agree with you. Somebody like her would be wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm glad she became a Republican and is endorsing Trump. She said, and I'm quoting a little blurb she put up on Facebook, it says that the deep state have spent their time destroying our nation. And she's talking about Joe Biden and the rest of the permanent Washington deep state, all those people who back Biden and Harris and people in our own state, Schumer and all these, the other one, I can't think of his name, starts with an S.
Soros?
No, running for senator.
Schiff.
Thank you.
Adam Schiff.
Yeah. They've been there forever, and he's a congressman, but he's switching over to run for the Senate. And we need to get everybody out in California to vote for Steve Garvey.
Yeah.
And I hope that happens. But this is the rest of what Tulsi Gabbard posted. They're destroying our nation. It's stripping away our freedoms, undermining the rule of law, pushing us to the brink of nuclear war, and hollowing out our nation's democracy. And they're doing that day by day, minute by minute. That's my talking now. And she says, we can't allow this to continue. And she says, to end this, it's exactly why Elon Musk, RFK Jr., and herself have endorsed Donald Trump for president. That's exactly why the Democrats should have kept her, but they can't because they don't believe in any of that. So I'm really happy she came over. And even though some of these so-called generals and former Vice President Pence and all are against Dick Cheney, are against Trump, they don't believe in democracy. They believe in the elite and the elite of Washington, D.C., and that's who they want to rule. They're all afraid of losing their positions.
You know how you said, what can we do, to people that are voting for Kamala?
Right.
I was thinking about this myself, and I thought the first thing is just say, you do realize Trump was already president, right? We had, did you forget that he was president? He wasn't Hitler. He was not a tyrant. Matter of fact, things were actually pretty cool. You didn't have to worry about politics when he was in there. Yeah, he said what he said, but the entire time he was fighting against the deep state. He could have gotten a lot more done if they worked with him, but he can't. Second of all, I would say, the Democrats consider themselves to be, the party of humanitarianism, right? They're they care about other people, but if they cared about other people, they wouldn't have opened the border, and we wouldn't have like 300,000 plus children missing right now that are probably in the sex trafficking or even worse. So I just say, oh, so you believe in raping little 7-year-old girls? And see what they say. What are you talking about? Well, because that's what's happening right now because of Biden and Harris. Okay, 300,000 plus, children are missing and gone because of their open border policies. And you can't tell me that they're not making dark money in the cartels on this deal either. Okay, everything they're doing is planned, and they're making money off of all of this. And this is not even getting into the fact that Mayorkas orchestrated this entire thing, and in the beginning was flying people from other countries, not just crossing the border, literally flying the people over into our country and
into the central part of our country. Yes,
it's just basically just look at it like that, don't forget Trump was already president, everything was cool. These people are sick, evil people, and just the fact that we have all these missing children, that should be enough to change somebody's mind and say, yeah, okay, maybe this party is not really humanitarian as they try to come across. Anyways,
and she's had all of these years already as vice president to make a difference, and she hasn't done it. So just to say, oh, I'm now going to make a change is, and she's talking about her opportunity economy. What does that even mean? Opportunity economy? She can't even say what that is. And when she says, oh, we're going to turn the page to what? She can't even say what turn the page is. She says,
she has no idea.
I'm going to be different from Biden. When they ask her, how am I going to be different from Biden? She can't even say what that is. Yet she still says she backs everything that Biden did. But that isn't turning the page though, even though she says that she backs everything that Biden did. So it's like,
well, let's back up a little here, how she got into be running for president.
Yeah, no one voted for her.
No, this was a coup.
Total
and
coup.
She has said over and over when she's been asked how his cognitive ability and his physical ability were deteriorating when she was his vice president and he was the head guy speaking and all. Well, now she's saying, well, there was nothing wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
He was perfectly fine. Well, right there is when I would try to get the DOJ, somebody to come in there and say, why didn't you take the 25th Amendment, which states if the president is unable to perform his duties, that you can remove him and she could become president? Then the Democrats wouldn't have this problem. So therefore, I think that this really didn't have the people thinking that Biden couldn't do anything. I think there were people like Pelosi and everybody else who wanted him out of there because They figured that they couldn't work with him anymore because I think Biden, in his own way, loves the country.
Yeah.
I don't agree with his policies or anything, but I think what they did to him was absolutely horrible.
Me too.
And it was a coup. So now we've experienced a coup. Now we're experiencing illegal voting by illegal immigrants, giving them driver's license and $25,000 charge cards and all of this. All of this is election interference, but nobody wants to bring it up and go after them. And you can't expect Trump to say all of this, because then they're going to just come down on him and say, you know, you're just spouting lies all the time. So we're in a real pickle, and it's very sour. We're in the 9th inning, and the game's tied. I don't know what to do. I'm very frightened. So I just have to keep saying to people who want to vote for Kamala, the women my age and your age, she does not represent real women who are successful and do anything. She represents people who have used men to climb up to success in her field. And you shouldn't be voting for somebody that doesn't make women look good. And she does not make women look good. She can't answer questions. She can't tell you what she's going to do. She's just listening to other people. And what are they going to do when are they going to keep the same administration? Now, I don't care what sex you are or what sex you would wish you had been. I don't care about that. I do care about people who cross-dress and do weird things when they're going to be meeting with the heads of state of other countries. I do care what we look like. Blinken has gone back and forth. What's his name? The transportation guy.
Buttigieg.
Thank you. They're all nuts. They don't ever talk about anything that's going to help our country. They're more wrapped up in themselves, and they're more wrapped up in having an administration that's very diverse. Exactly. It's the craziest thing. And we're able
to care about DEI.
The Democrats have boxed themselves in with DEI politics. And
absolutely.
And I think that's one reason why they found themselves at this crossroad with Kamala, is that we have to prop her up because she checks the boxes. And I in my heart, I truly think they wanted Newsom to be the candidate, because, you know, Newsom is polished. He's like Obama. He's well-spoken, he's polished, and his ideology falls completely in line with what the left has become. I mean, California is a petri dish for the insanity of policy.
It certainly is.
But the Democrats knew we cannot prop Newsom up at this time, because he is a white male, handsome man that flies in the face of everything that, you know, we've been spoon-fed as a nation to believe that white male heterosexuals are bad. So how could they prop him up? Even though ideology-wise, he is what they want. And so I think Kamala is a product of them just boxing themselves in to their own belief system and propaganda. And
you're right.
Well, Kamala's also shown that she's not for freedom of religion. You saw what happened with those.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
what a stupid thing to say. She has no control over her mouth.
Yeah. So
well,
control over her mouth.
Jeff wants us to read the DEI fairy tales by Bob Forters on Amazon. great humorous take on the DEI agenda. So everybody go out and get a good laugh today. And when you come back, we've got to fight, fight, fight. We've got to get him elected because I'm really frightened what's going to happen if she wins. And it's bad, really bad. But I don't know how you're going to keep these illegal immigrants from voting, and that's quite a concern of mine. So you know what? We used up the whole hour. Now next week, I'm going to be, it's the last week before the election, and I'm going to be talking about this again and what's happening in California and all, and try to have some fun too. Maybe I'll go read that book of fairy tales and I'll get a chuckle out of it today. So if you'd like to come back, drop me a note. I would love to have you back again because, well, we're all on the same page for one thing, and I'm not bearing it. I've already endorsed Trump.
Me too.
So, and if you haven't voted, go vote. I'm voting today. We're taking it to the drop box where it's supposed to be locked and guarded here in the desert area. So be careful. Let's watch. I was impressed by Laura Trump last night when she was speaking about how they have 2.5 million people watching the votes this year to make sure everything goes right. It's incredible. They've done everything they possibly can. I'm quite impressed with their organization, but that's what makes Trump Trump. And make America great again. Thank you, Jeff, Georgie, and Charles. I'm so happy to see you with us too. So think about next week. We'll talk about all the projects that are going on and play some more music. And Georgie, I'll give you a call later today. Thank you. Because Georgie has this great business and we're going to be talking about that. So that's what we are discussing. Remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today.
Amen.
Thank you.